Stay back or enter at your own
my dear
risk.
brothers and
The
sisters.
gate is waiting.
Before I
Can you hear
begin,
it?
I need
It
you
has
to do
been
something very
decades
important.
Since a living soul
I need you to
stepped
listen,
foot here,
not just
the
with your
markings
ears,
are waking
but with
up.
your spirit.
The seal is breaking.
Because
We
what
are
I am
not alone.
about to reveal
They are watching
in
from the seams.
this video,
The spiritual gate.
I once used
It's right
from
here.
the other
One
side.
step
Yes,
between worlds.
I was there.
One breath.
I was part of a system that
cross.
studied
It is
people
open.
like you,
The gateway is
observed
complete.
neighborhoods
Welcome
like
home.
yours in Jim
You are
Beldobach.
exactly where you belong.
Unopened doors,
grows cold
spiritual
as the door
doors
yields to a
that most
forgotten
believers
past.
don't
Every step
even know
down is a step further
exist.
from the light you know.
And
The
today,
flames dance to a
I'm
rhythm
going to
no
expose
living
it.
hand has
Not
set.
only that,
In this basement, the
I'm going
shadows
to
have a
reveal
life of
something
their
even
own.
darker
Unseen
and more
forces stir the
powerful.
air, pulling at the
there are
threads of
specific
reality.
psalms,
They are the
yes,
echoes
from the
of
Bible,
ritual,
that we
trapped
were
in the
warned about.
silence between
Psalms
breaths.
that,
The
when
ground
spoken with
remembers what was summoned
authority,
here.
would
Gravitation
completely
loses its grip as
disrupt
the
our
ritual's echo
operation.
grows
I'm not
louder.
talking about
The
making
ritual
demons
is never
uncomfortable.
truly over.
I'm
It
talking
only
about
waits for a
paralyzing
witness. And now
Stopping
you are
them.
part of the echo.
Confusing
Even
them,
the stones have begun
shutting
to
down
bleed
what
the
they were
secrets
sent
they
to
have
do.
kept for centuries.
And let me tell you something
They
that might
gather
shock
once more,
you.
drawn back to the
We
circle by the
avoided
scent of a new
certain
witness.
believers.
Look closely into
Not
the
because
dark.
of who they
You
were,
were never truly alone
but
in
because
this
of what they
ritual.
spoke.
The road stretches
Because
into
when these
infinity,
psalms
a
were
path of
declared,
choices yet to be made.
It's
At
like
the edge
fire
of the
in a
world,
realm
where
cannot
paths
see.
converge.
But
lies
here's
a
the
place
part that should
forgotten by
concern
time.
you.
When the mist
Most people
rises,
today are living their
the
daily
boundaries
lives
between worlds begin to
completely
thin.
unaware that there are
Patterns emerge from the
spiritual
shadows,
gates
tracing the
operating
lines
right
of a
inside
hidden
their
gate.
neighborhood.
They arrive
Yes,
in the silence.
right where you
The
live,
watchers of
near
the
your
crossroad,
home,
flickering like old
on
film,
your street,
moving between
maybe
the
even
echoes
closer
of
than you
what
think.
was and what is yet
And
to
these
be.
gates
The
are
pattern
not
is
just
set.
symbolic.
The ancient
are
ritual of the
ancient.
four ways begins under
Access
the
points
dying
that allow
light.
dark
The
forces to
gateway
move
opens where
freely,
no door
to
was ever meant
influence,
stand,
to
a tear in the
monitor,
fabric of
to
night.
attack,
One by
and to
one they
manipulate.
pass
I remember
through,
nights.
returning
When
to
we
the
would
void
map out
beyond the reach
areas,
of stars.
We didn't just look at
As the light
houses.
dies, the secrets
looked
of the
at territory.
crossroad remain buried
We identified
once
which
more,
places were
until
open,
the next
which
convergence.
homes were spiritually
Sleep well,
unguarded, and which
beneath the
neighborhoods
quiet
had active
streets of the
gates.
neighborhood,
Because
the
once a
secret
gate is
passage
open,
waits.
it doesn't just
Here,
affect
the
one
echoes of
person.
dripping
It
water
doesn't
tell
just
stories
affect
that the
one
surface has
person.
long
At
forgotten.
Maisie Factor Farm.
Drip.
It
The
affects the
rhythmic pulse in
atmosphere.
the silence.
I remember walking to a
Look
place.
closer at the weathered walls. These aren't just cracks in the concrete.
Suddenly
Ancient
felt heavy,
markers etched by
uneasy,
hands unknown,
drained.
beginning to pulse with a life
For
of their
no
own.
clear reason,
The air grows
for no
cold.
clear
The
reason,
shadows begin to stretch and
that's
twist.
not random.
And there, at the edge
Have
of
you
the
ever
light,
noticed
a
certain
silent
areas
sentinel,
where
watching,
problems never seem to
waiting,
stop?
knowing things that are
Where
best
confusion,
left in the
sickness,
dark.
and conflict
Before you
repeat
can
over
even
and
catch
over
your
again?
breath, it is gone.
That's not
fading back
coincidence.
into the void.
There are
The passage
spiritual
remains,
systems behind
but
it.
its secrets are yours
And
to
today,
keep or
I'm
to
going
run
to
from.
expose them.
Where the
But I'm not here to
safety
bring
of our
fear.
homes meets the
I'll
ancient
wake you up.
unknown.
Because
The
what you're going to
forest
learn
waits,
today
watching
will
from
not
the
only
edge of
help
the
you
cul-de-sac.
identify these hidden
Beyond the
gates,
garden
It will also
fences,
give
the
you the
air
weapons.
grows heavy. Did you see that?
Yes,
Eyes in the
shut
dark,
them down
blinking
completely.
out of
Those
existence.
same
the
psalms
mist
that
doesn't
we
just hide the
feared.
trees; it hides
You
a
already have
secret,
access to
a
them.
light that shouldn't
But the
be
problem
there,
is,
beckoning from the shadows.
most people
A
read them like
threshold
poetry,
appears,
instead
a
of
gateway
using them
to a
like weapons.
place
Map
forgotten
actual.
by time.
And that is
Strange
exactly
figures
what the
move in the
enemy
twilight,
wants.
guardians of the
Silence
path.
ignorance.
Will you step through the veil into
Passivity.
the heart of the forest? The edge is just the beginning
Is
of
an
the journey.
unprotected
Deep in
believer.
the heart of the wood,
But
the
that
magic
ends
of
today.
the earth comes alive.
In this video, I'm
Ancient
gonna show you
stories are written in the bark
the truth
of the
about
trees
spiritual
that have
gates
stood
hidden
for
in plain
millennia.
sight. How to
Welcome
recognize
to the
them in
world
your own
beyond
environment.
the
When
edge.
expanding
The
those
journey
There are
has
new
only
psalms
just begun.
that can paralyze demonic activity instantly.
not slowly, not eventually. Klei sutra harris, en wanneer er mofo under my chin meld press and leather deen mean gran. So you really have a really if for me shifro.
Is this suffering that I need first?
I am not speaking theory. I'm speaking from experience, from what I saw, from what I participated in, and from what I escaped. So stay with me until the end, because the deeper we go, the more you will begin to see things.
You were never meant to ignore.
And once you see it, you won't be able to
On the
unsee
surface,
it.
it looks like any other
Let's begin.
neighborhood.
Before I
Quiet,
reveal the songs,
Peaceful, safe.
Before I show
As
you
the
how to
light
identify
fades,
these hidden gates,
the
you need
boundaries
to
between
understand
worlds begin to
who
blur.
I
Something
was,
is entering.
because without that,
An unseen mist.
you might think this is
carrying
just
the
another
weight of
story.
ancient hidden shadows.
But
They
this
don't follow the laws of
is not
our
a
world.
story.
They move with intent.
This is a confession.
Seeking a doorway.
There was a time in
Hidden
my life
spiritual entry points. Cracks in the veil that we walk past.
I
every
wasn't
day
always
without
someone who
noticing.
speaks
noticing.
about truth,
They watch
light,
from the edges
and
of our
protection.
perception,
No,
waiting for the
I was trained in the
invitation we
opposite.
don't even know we've given. The
It was
neighborhood
just
is no longer
shaded
just
into
ours.
practices that most people would
It has
never
become
even
a
imagine.
threshold for the unknown.
Not things
The
you see in
entrance is
movies.
open.
movies only show you a fraction of
Never truly leaves.
What
the
I
silence has
experienced
arrived,
was
and it is hungry.
organized,
Stay back. Or
structured,
enter at your own
calculated.
The gate
We
is
didn't just do
waiting.
rituals.
Can you hear it?
It has been
We studied
decades
people.
since a
We
living
studied
soul stepped foot
territory.
here.
We studied
the markings
weaknesses.
are waking up.
And one of the first
seal
things
is
I learned
breaking.
was that
We are
the
not
world
alone.
you see
They are
is
watching from the
absolutely not but
seams.
look
The
of your
spiritual
soul.
gate.
American do
It's right here.
the
One step
infamy
between
is not the
worlds.
only
One
world
breath
that
to
exists.
cross.
It is open.
There
the
is
gateway
another
is
layer.
complete.
Thrill
Welcome
to
home.
facilitate basketball
You are
offense.
exactly where
A
you
spiritual
belong.
system
The air grows
operating
cold as the
alongside
door
your daily
yields
life.
to a
In that
forgotten
system.
past.
And
Every step
everything is
down
about
is a step
access.
further from the light you know. The
Access
flame
to
dance
minds.
to a rhythm
Access
no
to
living
home.
hand is set.
access
In
to
this
regions.
basement, the shadows
That's where
have a
spiritual
life of their
gates
own.
come in, but I'll
Unseen
explain that
forces stir
deeper
the air,
later.
pulling at the threads
First,
of reality.
I want you to
They are
understand
the
something
echoes of the
that may
ritual,
shock
trapped in
you.
the
Jack
silence
sprays
between
around
breaths.
fear.
The ground remembers what was summoned here.
Even in the
Gravitation loses
darkest
its grip
circles
as the
I was
ritual's
part
echo
of.
grows louder. The
There was
ritual is
one
never
thing we
truly
could
over.
not
It only
ignore.
waits for a witness.
The Word of God.
And now you are part
Yes,
of the echo.
even there.
Even the stones
We
have
didn't
begun
mock
to
it
bleed
the
the
way
secrets
people
they have
think.
kept for centuries.
We didn't take
they
it
gather
lightly.
once more, drawn back
We
to the
studied
circle
it
by the scent of a new
carefully.
witness. Look closely
Because
into the
we
dark.
knew
You were never
it
truly
carried
alone
authority.
in this ritual.
And
The
among
road
everything
stretches
written
into
in it,
infinity, a path of
there were
choices
certain
yet to be
parts
made. At the edge of
that
the
were
world,
extremely
where paths
dangerous to
converge,
us.
lies a place forgotten
Psalms.
by time. When the
Not
mist
all
rises,
believers
the
understand
boundaries
this,
between worlds
but in the
begin to
kingdom of
thin.
darkness,
Patterns emerge
Psalms are
from
not
the
seen as
shadows,
poems. They are
tracing
seen
the
as
lines
weapons.
of a hidden
They are
gate.
seen as weapons.
They arrive in
There
the
were
silence.
specific psalms
The
that if a
watchers of the
believer
crossroad,
spoke them with
flickering like old
understanding.
film,
To disrupt everything we were trying to do.
The pattern
I
is
remember
set.
moments
The ancient ritual of
clearly.
the four ways begins
When
under the dying
operations
light.
were planned.
The gateway opens where
When
no
spiritual
door was ever
assignments
meant to
were set
stand,
in
a tear
motion.
in the fabric of night. One by one they pass through.
And then
returning
suddenly,
to the void
everything would
beyond the
stop.
reach of stars. As the light dies, the secrets of the crossroads remain buried
Someone was
once more,
speaking.
until
Not
the
just
next
speaking
convergence.
casually,
Sleep well,
but declaring
deep
something with
beneath the
authority.
quiet streets of the neighborhood.
And it felt like
A
pressure.
secret passage waits. Here, the
Like
echoes
force.
of dripping water tell
The
stories
cooking
that the surface
invisible.
has long forgotten.
Pushing back
Drip,
against
drip,
everything
a
we
rhythmic
released.
pulse in the silence. Look closer
they'll
at the
expand.
weathered walls.
It was
These aren't
always the
just
same
cracks in the
pattern.
concrete. Ancient
believer
markers etched
who
by hands
understood the
unknown,
power
beginning to
of what
pulse
they were
with a life of
saying.
their own.
That's when I
The
realized
air
something.
grows cold.
That's when
The
I
shadows
realized
begin to
something.
stretch and twist.
The problem
And
was never
there,
that
at the
believers
edge
are
of the
weak.
light, a silent
The
sentinel,
problem is,
watching,
They do so many
waiting, knowing things
Most
that are
believers
best
don't know
left
who
in the
they are.
dark. Before you can even catch your
so they
breath,
live
it is gone,
unprotected,
fading back into
while
the
holding
void.
the very thing that
passage
could
remains,
protect them.
but
Net.
its secrets are
And I
yours
was
to
part of a
keep
system
or
that
to
took
run
advantage
from.
of that
Where
ignorance.
the safety of our homes meets
And
the
Farmer
ancient
Bickham,
unknown,
and which ones didn't.
the forest waits,
We knew which
watching
areas were
from the edge of
spiritually
the
active,
cul-de-sac.
lanes,
Beyond the
and
garden
which
fences,
ones were
the air
open.
grows
Whereas
heavy and cold.
even your
Did you
helpful
see
raw
that?
weakness.
Eyes in the dark,
Those were
blinking
the
out of
easiest
existence.
targets.
The mist
That's where
doesn't
spiritual
just hide
gates
the
were
trees,
established.
it
That's
hides
where
a secret,
influence spread.
a light that shouldn't
That's
be
where
there,
patterns of
beckoning from the
destruction were
shadows.
maintained.
A threshold appears,
And the most painful
a
part for me to
gateway
admit
a place forgotten
is
by
this.
time.
I
Strange
participated
figures
in
move
it,
the twilight,
followed
guardians of the
instructions.
path. Will you step through the veil into the heart of the forest? The edge is just the beginning of the journey. Deep in the heart of the wood, the magic of the earth comes
I contributed to things that
Ancient stories are
I
written
deeply
in the
regret.
bark of the trees
There
that
were
have stood
nights
for millennia. Welcome to the world beyond
when I
the
couldn't even
edge.
explain what I was
The
doing in
journey
human
has
terms.
only just begun.
Because it wasn't just physical. It was spiritual involvement. And when you are inside that system, it doesn't feel evil at first. It feels powerful.
It feels like control.
Like you are part of something hidden, something elite.
But that feeling is deception.
Because behind that illusion, there's bondage.
There's
There's a cost that no one tells you about in the beginning. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, until one day,
everything began to collapse.
and
On
I
the surface, it
realized
looks
very
like any
system
other
that I
neighborhood.
controlled
Quiet,
was actually controlling
peaceful,
me.
safe.
That's when
But
my
as the
eyes
light
started
fades,
opening.
the
That's
boundaries
when
between
fear
worlds
became
begin
real.
to blur. Something
Not
is
fear of
entering,
people, but
an
fear of
unseen
what I had
mist
become
carrying
involved
the
in.
weight of ancient hidden shadows.
More important.
They don't follow the laws
Fear
our
of the
world.
truth I had
They
been
move
running
with
from.
intent, seeking a doorway.
Because deep down,
Hidden spiritual entry
even while I
points,
was in darkness.
cracks in the veil.
I knew there was
that
something
we
greater,
walk past every
something
day without
stronger,
noticing.
something we
They
could
watch
not
from the
defeat.
edges of our perception,
And that was the
waiting
authority
for the
behind God's
invitation
word,
we don't even know we've
Especially
given.
the Psalms.
The neighborhood is no longer just
That
ours.
realization.
It has become a threshold.
What's the beginning
for
of my
unknown.
escape?
The entrance is open.
It's the
And what
reason I'm here
enters
speaking to you.
never truly leaves.
Not
The
to
silence
entertain
has
you.
arrived, and
Not
it
to
is
scare
hungry.
you,
Stay back.
but to
or
warn you.
enter at your own risk.
And to equip you.
Because what I once used against
It has been
people,
decades
I am
since
now
a living
exposing.
soul
So
stepped
you can
foot
stand
here.
against
the
it,
markings are waking
and trust me
up.
when I say
The
this.
seal
And when we
is
don't know
breaking.
type,
We
have
are not
forgot to
alone.
create.
Will
They are
change the way
watching from
you
the
see your
seams,
environment
the spiritual
forever.
gate.
Now, let's
It's
go
right
deeper.
here.
One step
Because before you
between
can fight
worlds.
something,
One breath to cross.
It is open.
you have to
The gateway
understand
is
what it
complete.
is.
Welcome home.
When I was
You are
inside that
exactly
world,
where you belong.
one of
air
the
grows
most
cold
important
as the door
concepts we were
yields to a
taught was this:
forgotten past.
everything
Every step
operates
down
through
is a step
access.
further from the light you know.
Nothing
The
just
flames
appears
dance to a
randomly.
rhythm no living hand has
Nothing
set.
just
In
happens
this
without
basement,
permission.
the shadows
There
have a
always
life of
has to
their
be an
own.
entry
Unseen
point. The
forces
vivid
stir the
speakers, they
air,
stir
pulling
the
at the
hearts
threads
of
of reality. They are the echoes of the ritual, trapped in the silence between breaths. The ground remembers
is what we
was
call the
summoned
spiritual
here.
gate.
Gravitation
Let me explain
loses
this in a
its
way you
grip
will
as the
never
ritual's
forget.
echo
Scene
grows
settle.
louder. The ritual is never truly over. It only
A
waits
spiritual
for a witness.
gate is not
And now
something you
you
can
are part of the
see
echo.
with your
Even
physical
the stones
eyes.
have begun to bleed.
It's
the
not a
secrets they
door
have
made
kept
of
for
wood.
centuries.
It's not a structure
They gather
you can
once
touch.
more, drawn back to the
But it
circle by the
is
scent
very
of a new
real.
witness.
It is an invisible
Look closely into
access
the
point.
dark. You were never
Information
truly
zone.
alone in this ritual.
Where spiritual
The road
activity
stretches
is
into
allowed to
infinity,
enter,
a path of
operate,
choices
and
yet to be
influence
made.
a
At the
specific
edge of the
area.
world, where paths
Think of it like
converge,
this.
lies a place forgotten
Just like
by
your
time.
house has
When the
doors
mist
and windows
rises,
that allow
the
people to
boundaries
come
between
in
worlds
and go
begin
out.
to thin.
Your environment
Patterns
also has
emerge
doors.
from the shadows,
But in the
tracing
spiritual
lines of a
realm,
hidden
and
gate.
once a gate is
They
open,
arrive in the silence.
it doesn't just
The
stay
watchers of the
empty.
crossroad, flickering
Something will
like
use
old
it.
film,
I
moving
need you to
between
really
the
understand
echoes
this
of what
part.
was and what
Spiritual
is yet
gates are
to
not
be.
always
The
opened
pattern is
intentionally.
set. The ancient ritual
Sometimes
of the
they are
four ways
created
begins under the
slowly
dying
through
light. A
repeated
gateway
action,
opens where no door
through
was ever
certain
meant to stand.
behavior,
A tear in the fabric
through
of night.
patterns
One by
that people
one,
don't
they
even
pass through,
realize are dangerous.
returning to the void.
In the system I was
Which is
part of,
stars.
We didn't
As
always
the
need
light
to force
dies,
doors
the
open.
secrets of the
Sometimes
crossroad remain
people open
buried
them
once
themselves.
more.
Through
Until
what
the
they
next
entertained,
convergence.
through what they
Sleep
allowed,
well,
through what they
deep
practiced,
beneath the
even
quiet streets of the
unknowingly.
neighborhood,
And once
the
that gate was
secret
established,
passage waits.
it became a
Here,
point of
the echoes
access.
of dripping water
Not
tell stories
just
that the surface
one.
has long
Abba
forgotten.
and Chris.
Drip,
That
drip,
means
the
influence
rhythmic
didn't
pulse
come
in
and go.
silence. Look closer at the
stayed.
weathered walls.
it operated.
These aren't just cracks
It
in the
affected
concrete.
everything
Ancient markers
around it.
etched by hands
Let me make
unknown,
this even
beginning to
clearer.
pulse with the life
A
of
spiritual
their own.
gate doesn't just
The air
impact
grows
one
cold,
person.
the shadows
It
begin to
affects an
stretch and twist,
entire
and
atmosphere.
there, at the
That's
edge
why
of the
certain
light,
places feel
the
different.
silent sentinel,
You've probably experienced
watching,
this before.
waiting, knowing things
Walking
that are
into an
best left in
area
the
and
dark.
suddenly feeling
Before
uncomfortable,
you can even catch
heavy,
your breath, it is gone,
Drained.
fading back into
anxious,
the void.
without
The passage
any logical
remains,
explanation.
but its secrets are yours to keep.
That's
or to
not
run
in your
from. Where
imagination.
the safety
That
of
is
our
spiritual
homes meets the
influence
ancient
in the master
unknown.
great
The
in
forest waits,
Now, and
watching
many
from the edge of
times.
the cul-de-sac.
Coming through an
Beyond
open
the garden
gate.
fences, the air grows
I
heavy
remember
and
when
cold.
we would study
Did you
different
see
neighborhoods.
that? Eyes in the dark,
We didn't just
blinking out
look
of
at
existence.
people
The mist
street,
doesn't just hide the
sneaky
trees,
meat
it
folk
hides
kid
a
is
secret.
far.
A
Where
light
could
that
that
shouldn't be
be?
there, beckoning
Yeah,
from the
we
shadows.
studied the
A
atmosphere.
threshold
We could
appears,
sense which
a
areas were
gateway to
open,
a place forgotten
which
by
places
time.
had active gates,
Strange
and which
figures move in
environments
the
were
twilight,
easy to
guardians of the
influence.
path. Will you step through
And do you
the
know what was
veil
most
into the
shocking?
heart of the forest?
Some of these gates were in the
edge
most
is just the
normal-looking
beginning of
places.
the journey. Deep in the
Quiet
heart
streets,
of the wood,
some
the
more
magic of the earth
regular
comes
homes,
alive.
and
Ancient
bothering
stories
spots.
are written in the bark of the trees
Nothing
that
on the
have stood
outside
for
looked
millennia.
unusual,
Welcome
but
to the
spiritually,
world beyond
those places
the edge.
were
The
active,
journey
very
has
active.
only just
Because
begun.
once a gate is opened, it becomes a channel.
A channel for influence.
A channel for spiritual traffic.
And the longer it stays open, the stronger it becomes. This is why some neighborhoods experience the same problems over and over again. One, cycles of conflict,
Cycles of fear.
cycles of addiction, cycles of confusion. People move move out. But the pattern remains. Because the issue is not just physical, it's spiritual. And before the help Almighty struck our day. Now, here's something very important you need to understand. Not every gate is opened the same way.
Peaceful,
Some are activated
as the
intentionally.
light fades,
Through ritual.
between worlds
Through
begin to
specific
blur.
gatherings,
Something is
through
entering,
dedicated
an
practices meant to
unseen
open
mist,
access.
carrying
Only
the weight of
making that
ancient
your brain.
hidden shadows.
Phenomenal stuff.
They don't follow
But
the
others
laws of
are
our
owned.
world. They move with intent,
Are
seeking
opened
a doorway,
through
hidden
ignorance,
spiritual
through
entry
exposure,
points,
the repeated negativity,
cracks in
through
the
things
veil
people
that we
think
walk
are
past every
harmless.
day without
And that's what
noticing.
makes us so
They
dangerous.
watch from the edges of our perception,
To be
waiting
affected
for the
by it
invitation we don't
All
even
it
know
takes
we've given.
is
The
living
neighborhood
near
is
an
no
open
longer just
gate.
ours.
And this
It has
is
become a
why what I'm
threshold for
sharing
the
with you
unknown.
today
The
is
entrance
so
is open,
critical.
and what
Because
enters
once you understand what a
never
gate
truly
is,
leaves. The silence
you
has
will start
arrived,
seeing signs.
and
You
it
will
is
start
hungry.
Stay
recognizing
back
patterns.
or enter at your own
You will
risk.
start
The
noticing
gate
things
is waiting. Can you hear it?
you
It
used
has
to
been
ignore. And more
decades
importantly,
since a living
you will
soul
realize something
stepped foot here.
powerful.
The markings are
just
waking
like gates
up.
can be open,
The seal
they
is
can also be
breaking.
closed.
We are not alone.
but not by
they are
accident.
watching from
Not
the
by
seams.
ignoring them.
The spiritual gate.
They have to be confronted,
right here.
One step
They have to be
between
shut
worlds.
down with authority.
One breath to
and
cross.
that's where the
It is
Psalms
open.
come in.
The gateway is complete. Welcome home.
words.
And freshest
You are
one
exactly
or
where you belong.
remember.
The air grows cold
well,
as the
not
door
just
yields
spiritual
to a forgotten
comfort.
past.
They are
Every step down
spiritual
is a step
force.
further from the light you know.
They don't just
the
make you
flames
feel
dance
better.
to a rhythm no living hand is
What
set.
is well? Would
In
another
this
life
basement,
like that
the
the
shadows have a life of their own.
They,
Unseen forces stir
change
the
what is
air, pulling
operating
at the threads
around
of
you.
reality. They
And
are
in the next
echoes of
part,
the ritual,
I'm going to
trapped
show
in
you
the
something
silence
even more
between
practical.
breaths.
Mystic.
The ground
How to
remembers
actually
what was summoned
identify
here.
if there is
Gravitation
spiritual
loses its grip as the ritual's
Not in
echo
theory,
grows louder.
but
The
in
ritual
real,
is never truly
observable
over.
ways.
It only waits for a witness.
things you can notice.
And now
starting
you are
today.
part of the echo.
Now,
Even the
this is
stones
where
have begun to
everything
bleed the
becomes
secrets
real.
they have kept for
Because it's one thing to
centuries.
hear about
They gather
spiritual
once
gates.
more,
It's
drawn
another
back
thing
to
to
the circle
recognize
by the
them
scent of a new
right where you
witness.
live.
Look closely into the dark.
When I was inside
You
that
were
system,
never truly alone in
We were
this ritual.
trained to observe.
The road stretches into infinity.
Not
a
just with
path of
physical
choices yet
eyes,
to be made. At the
but
edge
with
of the
awareness.
world, where
We didn't
paths
guess.
converge, lies a place forgotten
We
by
looked
time.
for
When
patterns.
the mist rises,
Because spiritual
the
gates
boundaries
always
between
leave
worlds begin to
signs.
thin.
They don't always
Patterns
announce
emerge from
themselves
the
loudly,
shadows, tracing
but they
the lines
reveal
of
their
a hidden
presence
gate.
through repetition. They
They
through
arrive in the
atmosphere,
silence.
to in movie
The
and
watchers
have
of
the
the
long
crossroad,
lens, to an
flickering
in
like
from
old
mute.
film, moving between the
Let me
echoes
show
of
you what I
was
mean.
and what is
One of the
yet to
first
be.
signs
The
we were taught
pattern
to
is
look
set.
for.
The ancient ritual of the four ways begins under the dying
patterns in a
light.
specific
The gateway
area.
opens where no door was ever
I'm
meant
not
to
talking about
stand,
one
a tear
bad
in
day.
the fabric
Where-
of night.
or one
One by
unfortunate
one they pass
situation.
through.
I'm
returning
talking
to
about
the
repeated
void beyond
cycles.
the reach of stars.
The same kind of
As the
problem.
light dies, the
Happening
secrets of the
again and
crossroad
again
remain
and
buried
again.
once more, until the next convergence. Sleep well.
You might see
Deep
constant
beneath the
conflict in
quiet
one
streets of
area.
the neighborhood,
Families always
a secret
fighting.
passage waits.
Relationships
Here,
always
the
breaking.
echoes of dripping
or
water tell
continuous
stories
sickness.
that the surface has
Where
long
people
forgotten.
seem to fall
Drip,
ill without clear reason,
rhythmic pulse
or
in the
financial struggles that
silence.
never seem
Look
to break.
closer at the weathered walls.
No matter how
These aren't
hard
just
people
cracks
try,
in the concrete.
when you see
Ancient
patterns that
markers
refuse to
etched
change,
by hands unknown,
that's not
beginning to pulse
normal.
with a life of their own.
That's a sign of
The air
influence.
grows cold.
Another
The
sign.
shadows begin to stretch and twist.
It is a
And there,
heavy
at the edge of the
or
light,
oppressive
a silent
atmosphere.
sentinel, watching,
Now listen
waiting,
carefully.
knowing things
Your
that are
spirit
best
can
left in
feel
the dark.
things your mind
Before
cannot
you can even
explain.
catch your breath, it
There
is
were
gone,
places we
fading
would
back
enter.
into the
And
void.
immediately,
The passage
the
remains,
atmosphere
but its
felt
secrets
thick.
are yours to keep.
Not peaceful.
To run from,
M&S.
Where the
Not
safety
false,
of our homes
but
meets
tense,
the ancient
unsettling,
unknown.
like something
The
invisible was
forest
pressing
waits,
down. Even
watching
people
from
who
the
knew
edge of the
nothing about
cul-de-sac.
the spiritual
Beyond the
realm
garden
they'd hear
fences,
would
the
feel
air grows heavy
uncomfortable there.
and cold. Did
They
you
might
see
say
that?
things like,
Eyes in the dark, blinking
I
out
don't
of
like this
existence.
place, at least
The
heart
mist
inside
doesn't just
home.
hide the trees.
Dust
it
should
hides
have
a
a dairy
secret,
few
a
for
light
no
that
renew,
shouldn't be there,
story in
beckoning
head of
from the
you
shadows. A
and
threshold
at your
appears,
resign,
a gateway to a place forgotten by time. Strange figures move in the twilight, guardians of the path. Will you step through the veil into the heart of the forest?
But they
The
don't know
edge is
why.
just the beginning of the journey.
That feeling
Deep in the
is
heart
not
of
random.
the wood, the magic
It's
of
often
the
connected
earth
to an
comes
open
alive.
gate.
Ancient
Another sign we looked
stories
for.
are written in the
with
bark of the
specific
trees
locations
that
that
have stood for
attracted
millennia.
unusual activity.
Welcome
Places
to the
where
world
things
beyond the edge.
didn't add
The
up.
The journey has
It could be an
only
abandoned
just
building,
begun.
a quiet corner,
A certain house.
or even a crossroads. Yes, crossroads are very significant because they represent intersection. And in the spiritual realm, intersections are access points. I remember clearly certain locations were used repeatedly, not because they looked important, but because spiritually they were already open.
People would gather there at strange times.
Movements would happen quietly. Things that looked normal on the outside, but were not normal underneath. And here's something that might surprise you. Not all gatherings look dark.
On the surface,
some appear
it looks like
completely
any other
ordinary,
neighborhood. Quiet,
but their purpose
peaceful,
is not.
Safe.
That's why
As the
discernment
light
is so
fades,
important.
the
Another
boundaries
sign
between worlds begin to blur.
is unusual
Something is
behavior
entering.
patterns in people
An unseen
within a
mist
specific
carrying
area.
The weight of ancient hidden
Now
shadows.
be careful with
They don't
this,
follow the laws
because
of our
I'm not
world.
saying to
They
judge
move with
people,
intent, seeking a
but
doorway,
observe patterns
hidden
when
spiritual
multiple
entry
individuals
points.
in one area
Cracks
exhibit the
in the
same
veil
kind of
that we walk
behavior,
past every day
extreme
without noticing.
anger,
They
a
watch
sudden
from the
mood
edges
change,
of our perception,
Unexplainable
waiting for
hostility.
the invitation we
Deep
don't
confusion.
even know we've given.
and
The neighborhood
it
is no
keeps
longer just
repeating
ours.
across different people.
It has become a
That's
threshold
not
for
just
the unknown.
personality.
The entrance is open,
That seems fair.
and what
Because
enters
when a gate is open,
never
It
truly
doesn't just affect
leaves.
the environment.
The silence has arrived,
It affects
and
people.
it is hungry.
Their
Stay
thoughts,
back or enter
their
at your
emotions,
own risk.
their
The gate is
reactions.
waiting.
Everything can be
Can you hear
influenced.
it? It has
Now
been
let me share
decades
something very real
since
with
a
you.
living soul stepped
Sometimes
foot
the
here.
clearest sign of a
markings
spiritual
are waking
gate
up. The
is
seal
resistance
is
to
breaking.
anything good.
We are not alone.
Pay attention
They
to
are
this.
watching from the seams.
In certain areas,
The spiritual
peace
gate.
struggles to stay.
It's right here.
Joy
One
doesn't
step
last.
between worlds. One
Progress
breath
gets blocked.
to cross.
It is
Every
open.
time something
the
positive
gateway
starts,
is complete. Welcome
something
home.
comes in to
You are
disrupt it.
exactly where you
Again
belong.
and again
The air
and again.
grows cold as the
That's
door yields
not
to a forgotten
coincidence.
past.
That's
Every
interference.
step down is a step
And I've
further
seen
from
this
the light
happen
you know.
so
The
many
flames
times.
dance to a rhythm no living
Where people
hand has
think they
set.
are just
In this
unlucky.
basement, the shadows have a life of their
They are
own.
living near
Unseen
an open
forces stir
access
the
point.
air, pulling at the threads of
Now I
reality.
need to say something
They
very
are the
important.
echoes of
Don't
the
let
ritual,
this create
trapped in
fear
the
in you.
silence between breaths.
Let it create
The ground
awareness.
remembers what was
Because the
summoned
moment
here.
you become aware,
Gravitation
you are no
loses its
longer
grip as
an
the
easy
ritual's
target.
echo grows louder.
remember what I
The
told you
ritual is
earlier.
never truly over.
Darkness
It only
depends on
waits for a
ignorance.
witness.
It thrives
And
where
now you
people
are part
don't
of the echo.
understand
Even
what's
the stones
happening.
have begun to bleed the secrets they
Once
have
you
kept
start
for
seeing the
centuries.
path,
They gather
that
once
is
more,
then
drawn
so
back to the circle
terrible.
by the
But
scent
once
of a
you
new
start seeing the
witness.
pattern,
Look closely into the
once you
dark.
start recognizing
you
the
were never
signs,
truly alone in this
everything
ritual.
changes.
The road stretches
Because
into
now,
infinity, a path of
you can
choices yet to
respond.
be made.
And
At
this
the
is
edge
where
of the
your
world,
authority
where paths
begins.
converge,
Because
lies a place
identifying the
forgotten
gate
by
at
time.
Ingrot.
When the mist rises,
But it's not the final
boundaries
step.
between worlds begin to
In the
thin.
next part,
Patterns
I'm going to take you
emerge
even
from the
deeper
shadows,
into how these
tracing the
gates are
lines of
actually
a hidden
used,
gate.
how the Dark Kingdom
arrive in the
operates through
silence.
them,
The
and why
watchers
certain
of the
areas are
crossroad,
targeted more than
flickering like
others.
old
And
film,
when you
moving between the
understand
echoes
that,
of what was and
you
what
will
is yet to
finally
be.
see
The pattern
why
is
the
set.
Psalms
The ancient ritual
and
of
the
the
bad
four
trivia
ways
not
begins under the
optional.
dying light.
They're
A gateway
necessary.
opens where no door was
Now,
ever meant to stand.
let me take
a
you
tear in
deeper.
the fabric of night.
Because
One by one,
identifying
they
a
pass
spiritual
through,
gate is
returning
only
to
the
void
beginning,
beyond the reach of
understanding
stars.
how it is
As
used.
the light dies,
That's what
the
will open
secrets
your
of the
eyes
crossroad remain buried
completely.
once more.
When I was
Until
inside
the
that
next
world,
convergence.
nothing was
Sleep well.
random.
Deep beneath
Everything
the
was
quiet
organized,
streets of the neighborhood,
strategic,
a secret passage
planned.
waits.
There
Here,
was structure.
The echoes of the stories that the
There was
surface has long
hierarchy.
forgotten. Drip,
And there were
drip,
assignments.
a rhythmic
Yes,
pulse in the silence.
assignment. Glow
Look
up you are,
closer
all
at
the
the
way back.
weathered walls. These aren't just cracks in
Just
the
like
concrete.
in the physical
Ancient
world,
markers,
where people
etched
are
by
given
hands
roles.
unknown, beginning to pulse
In the
with
dark
life of their
system,
own.
entities
The
are
air grows
assigned
cold, the shadows
territories,
begin to stretch and
specific
twist,
areas,
and there,
specific
at the edge of
environments,
the light,
specific
a
region,
silent
and those
sentinel.
assignments are often connected to spiritual
knowing things
gates.
that are best
You
left
need
in
to
the
understand this
dark.
clearly.
Before you can even catch
A
your
gate
breath,
is not
it
just an
gone,
entry point.
fading back into the void.
It is a control
the passage
point.
remains, but
Once
its secrets
access
are yours
is
to keep
established,
or to run from.
Operations can
Where
begin.
the safety of our homes
I remember
meets the
times
ancient
when
unknown.
areas were
The
discussed,
forest waits,
not by street
watching
names,
from the edge of the cul-de-sac.
but by their own
Beyond the
spiritual
garden
condition.
fences, the air
we
grows
knew
heavy
which
and
places
cold.
were open.
Did you see that?
Escape
Eyes in the dark,
Filipino
blinking out of
website.
existence.
Which
The
ones
mist
were
doesn't
resistant?
just hide the trees,
And
it hides a secret.
Which ones
a
were
light
already
that
under
shouldn't be
influence.
there, beckoning from
Because
the shadows.
once a gate is
threshold
active,
appears, a gateway
it becomes
to a
easier
place
to operate in
forgotten by
that
time.
environment.
Strange
Influence
figures
flows
move in
more
the
freely.
twilight, guardians of the
Resistance
path.
becomes weaker.
Will you
And
step
Aries,
through the veil
and don't
into
feel
the heart of the
mysterious of a
forest?
world friend.
The edge is just the
And over
beginning
time,
of the journey. Deep in the heart of the wood, the magic
influence begins to shape everything.
Ancient
Let me
stories are
explain how
written
this
in the
works in a
bark
way
of the
you can
trees that
understand.
have stood
Imagine
for
a gate
millennia.
as a doorway
Welcome
that never
to the
closes.
world beyond the
Through
edge.
that doorway,
The journey
spiritual
has
traffic
only
moves
just begun.
continuously, monitoring,
Cleansing.
reinforcing patterns. That's why problems in certain areas feel persistent. Not occasional, but consistent. because what is operating there leads into the camper of rumors. Amigos, and I have requests to field about wanting influenciar.
Being sustained.
Not just attacked once, but maintained over time.
On the surface,
And this is
it looks
where
like any other
many
neighborhood.
people misunderstand
Quiet,
something.
Peaceful,
They think attacks
safe,
are always
but as
sudden.
the light fades,
No,
the boundaries
the most
between
effective
worlds begin
strategy.
to blur.
The most effective
Something
strategy.
is entering,
slow influence,
an unseen
quiet
mist
control,
carrying
subtle
the weight of
manipulation.
ancient
And that's
hidden
exactly
shadows.
how these
They
gates
don't
are
follow
used.
the laws of nature. They hidden spiritual entry points.
I remember how
Cracks in the
influence
veil
would
that we
spread,
walk past
not
every day
loudly,
without noticing. They
intelligibly.
watch from the
I
edges
thought
of our
here there was the
perception,
culprit, a
waiting
conflict
for the
there,
invitation
a small
we don't
disruption.
even know we've given. The
That
neighborhood
later
is no
becomes
longer
a
just
major
ours.
problem.
It has become
And
a
because it
threshold
happens
for the
slowly,
unknown. The entrance
people
is
don't
open,
recognize it.
and what enters
They think it's normal life.
never truly leaves.
They think
The
it's just
silence
how
has
things
arrived,
are.
and it is
But
hungry.
behind it,
Stay back or
there is
enter
a
at your own
system.
risk.
The gate
Now here's
is
something
waiting.
even deeper.
Can you hear it?
It has
These
been
gates
decades
are not just used for
since
influence.
a living soul
They're
stepped
also used
foot
for
here.
monitoring.
The markings are
Yes,
waking up. The
monitoring.
seal is breaking.
When a
We are
gate
not
is
alone.
active in an
They
area,
are watching
Information
from the
flows.
seams. The spiritual
patterns
gate.
are observed.
It's right
Places
here.
are identified.
One step between
That's
worlds.
why sometimes
One breath.
it feels like
to
problems
cross.
come at
It
the
is
perfect
open.
time.
The gateway
Like
is
something
complete.
new
Welcome
exactly when
home.
you were vulnerable.
You are exactly
That's not always
where you
coincident
belong.
because
The air grows
access
cold as the
allows
door yields to a
observation.
forgotten past.
And
Every step
observation
down is a step
allows
further from the light you know.
strategy.
The flames dance
This
to
is
a
something
rhythm
I
no
personally
living hand
witnessed.
is set.
And
In
it's
this
one of the
basement,
hardest truths
the
to
shadows have
accept.
a life of their own.
Now let me go
Unseen
even
forces
deeper.
stir the air,
There are
pulling
also
at the
moments
threads
when
of
these gates are
reality.
reinforced,
They are the echoes
strengthened,
of the ritual, trapped in
made
the
more
silence
active.
between breaths.
This doesn't happen
the ground
randomly.
remembers what was summoned here.
It happens through
Gravitation
intentional
loses its grip
action
as the
and
ritual's echo
specific
grows
activities,
louder.
specific
The
timing.
ritual is never
Specific
truly
alignments.
over. It only waits for
Moments
a witness.
where access
and now
is
you
increased.
are part of the echo. Even
Where
the stones
influence
have begun to
becomes
bleed the
stronger.
secrets they
Where
have
what was
kept for
already
centuries.
operated,
They gather once more,
where what was
drawn back to
already
the circle by the
operated,
scent of a
and
new
some
witness.
pursued and
Look
join
closely
it,
into the dawn.
becomes more
You are
intense.
never truly alone
And
in
during
this
those
ritual.
times,
The road stretches into infinity.
People in
a
those
path of
areas
choices yet to be
often
made.
experience
At the edge of the world,
heightened
where
conflict,
paths
increased
converge,
anxiety,
lies a place forgotten by
sudden
time.
disruption,
When the mist
sudden
rises,
disruption,
the boundaries between
things
worlds begin to
escalating
thin.
quickly without
Patterns
clear
emerge
cause,
from the shadows,
and they
tracing
don't
the
understand
lines
why.
of a hidden gate.
But from the
They
inside,
arrive in the silence.
we
The
understood
watchers of the
exactly what was
crossroad,
happening.
flickering like old film,
Now I want you to hear this
moving between
carefully.
the echoes of
Not
what
every
was
place is
and what
affected
yet
at
to
the
be.
same
The
level.
pattern is
Some
set.
areas have
The
stronger
ancient
gates.
ritual of the
Some have
four
weaker
ways begins under
ones.
the dying light. A
A
gateway opens where no
and
door
as
was
you
ever meant to
begin,
stand. A
note
tear in the fabric of night.
the plan,
One by one, they
And
pass
some
through,
have been
returning to the void
completely
beyond the reach
shut
of stars. As
Do
the
you know
light
what made the
dies,
difference?
The secrets of the crossroad remain buried
Not
once
wealth,
more.
not
Until the
status,
next convergence.
authority,
Sleep well.
spiritual
deep
authority,
beneath the quiet
areas where
streets of the
people
neighborhood.
consistently
A
pray.
secret passage
Declare
waits.
truth.
Here,
Spoke
the echoes
with
of dripping water tell
understanding.
stories that
Those
the surface
places
has
became
long
difficult
forgotten.
to access.
Drip, drip,
Not
a
impossible,
rhythmic pulse in the silence.
but
Look
resistant.
closer at the weathered walls.
And resistance
These
is
aren't just
something the
cracks in
dark
concrete.
system
Ancient
avoids.
markers, etched
Because
by
it requires
hands
effort,
unknown,
or
beginning to pulse
creates
with a life
pushback.
of their own.
And most
The
of the
air grows
time,
cold, the shadows
It's
begin
easier to
stretch and
operate where
twist.
there is no
And
resistance.
there, at the edge of the
Where
light,
people are
a
unaware,
silent
passive,
sentinel, watching,
silent.
waiting, knowing things that are
That's
best
why
left in
awareness
the
is so
dark.
powerful.
Before you can even catch your
Because the
breath,
moment
it
you
is gone,
understand what's happening,
fading back into the void.
you are no
The
longer
passage
just
remains,
existing in your
but its
environment.
secrets are yours to
You
keep
are
or to
influencing
run
it.
from.
Where the
And
safety
this leads
of
us to
our
something
homes
very
meets the
important.
ancient unknown.
If gates
The
are used to
forest
bring
waits,
influence,
watching
then
from the edge
something
of the
must
cul-de-sac.
exist.
Beyond the garden fences,
that can stop
the air
that
grows
influence.
heavy and cold.
Something that
Did
can
you see
block
that?
it,
Eyes in the dark, blinking out
disrupt
of
it,
existence.
even shut it down
The mist
completely.
doesn't just hide the trees.
And
it
that's
hides a
exactly
secret,
what we feared.
A light that shouldn't be
Not
there,
people.
beckoning from the
Not
shadows.
building.
A
Goody
threshold
code for
appears,
Losmana.
a gateway
Not
to a
location,
place
but
forgotten
words
by
spoken
time.
with authority.
Strange figures
The
move in
songs,
the twilight,
Ledzipop.
guardians of the path.
Because when those
Will you
words
step
were
through the
declared,
veil
something
into
shifted.
the heart of the forest?
Not emotionally,
The edge is just
spiritually.
the beginning of the journey.
Operations
Deep in
would
the
weaken.
heart of the wood,
Access
the
would be
magic of the
challenged.
earth comes alive.
And in some cases,
Ancient
everything would
stories are are
stop
written in the bark of
completely.
the trees that have stood
And in
for
the next part,
millennia. Welcome
I'm going to
to the
explain
world
why.
beyond
I'm going to
the
explain why.
edge.
why these
journey has
specific
only
psalms
just
carry that
begun.
kind of power. And what is actually happening when they are spoken the right way? Now, we come to something that many people read, but very few truly understand: the Psalms. I know for most people. Text, they are comforting.
Something you read when you feel tired.
When you need encouragement.
When you want to feel close to God.
That what I'm about to reveal to you
is how they're seen.
And from the other side, because where I came from, the Psalms were not comfort.
They were a threat.
On the
A
surface,
serious
it looks
threat.
like any other neighborhood.
You see, in the dark
Quiet,
system I was part of,
peaceful, safe.
there were
But
many
as the
things
light
we ignored.
fades, the boundaries
But
between
not the
worlds begin to
Psalms.
blur. Something
Those
is
we
entering,
paid attention to.
an unseen mist.
Very
carrying
carefully.
the weight of ancient hidden shadows.
And the reason is simple.
They don't follow the laws
They
of our
operate on
world.
spiritual
They
law,
move with intent, seeking a doorway,
not opinion,
hidden spiritual
not
entry
human
points.
strength. Hey, that's
Cracks
what
in
makes
the
them
veil
dangerous.
that we walk past
Let me
every day
explain this in a
without
way
noticing.
that will change
They
how
watch
you
from
see
the
them
edges of
forever.
our
And the
perception,
spiritual realm
waiting for the invitation we don't even know we've given. The neighborhood is no longer just ours.
Not noise, not
become a threshold
repetition, not
truly
empty
leaves.
words.
The silence has arrived.
And
it is
authority
hungry.
is not
Stay
about
back
how
or
loud
enter
you
at your
speak.
own risk.
It's about
The
what
gate
stands
is waiting.
behind
Can you
what
hear
you are
it?
saying.
It has been decades
When a psalm is spoken
since
with
a living
understanding,
soul stepped foot here.
You are not
The
just
markings
reading
are
words.
waking up. The
You
seal
are
is
aligning
breaking.
yourself
We are not alone.
with a
They
higher
are
authority,
watching from the seams.
an authority that the dark
spiritual
system cannot
gate.
override.
It's right
That's
here.
why I said
One
earlier.
step between
We didn't
worlds.
fear people.
One breath to
We
cross.
feared what
It
they
is open.
carried
The
without
gateway is
realizing
complete.
it.
Welcome
Because when
home.
certain psalms were
You are
spoken,
exactly
something
where you
immediate
belong.
would happen.
The air grows cold as
Not
the door
gradually.
yields to a forgotten past. Every step down is a step further
Immediately.
from the light we know.
speaking
the
that
flames dance to a
within
rhythm
my
no
first
living hand
phase.
is set.
Suddenly,
In this basement,
sparkling
the
every
shadows
step
have a
as-
life of their own.
It was like a
Unseen
force
forces
entering
stir
the environment.
air, pulling at the
A
threads
pressure,
of
a
reality.
resistance,
They are the echoes of the
interruption,
ritual,
and
trapped
everything
in
that
the
was
silence
operating
between
quietly.
breaths.
This
The ground
may be
remembers what was
exposed.
summoned here.
Disrupted.
Gravitation loses its
In
grip
some
as the
cases,
ritual's
completely
echo
stopped.
grows louder. The ritual
I
is never
remember
truly over.
moments
It only waits
very
for a
clearly.
witness.
Where
And now
operations
you are
were
part of the
already in
echo.
motion.
Even the
Influence
stones
had
have
already
begun
begun
to bleed the
spreading.
secrets they have kept for
And then
centuries.
suddenly,
They gather once
it
more,
felt like
drawn back
everything
to the
hit a
circle
wall.
by the scent of a new
Not a
witness.
physical wall.
Look closely into the dark. You were never truly alone in this ritual.
but
The
a
road
spiritual
stretches
one.
into infinity.
With access was being
Choices yet
blocked.
to be made. At the
Like
edge of the
movement was
world,
being
where paths
restricted.
converge,
And when
lies
we
a
tried to
place
understand
forgotten
what
by
caused
time. When the mist
There was
rises,
always one
the
thing
boundaries
behind it.
between worlds
Someone,
begin to thin.
Somewhere
Patterns
aching,
emerge from the shadows, tracing
was
the lines
speaking.
of a hidden gate.
but not
They
casually.
arrive in the
Not
silence,
just
the watchers of the crossroad.
They were
flickering
declaring
like
something
old
with
film,
authority.
moving
Special
between
eight
the echoes
resource.
of what was and what is yet to be.
And that
The pattern
authority
is set. The ancient
was
ritual of
coming from the
four ways
word
begins under
itself.
the dying light.
Now,
A
here's something
gateway
many
opens
people don't
where
realize.
No door was ever meant to stand.
Not all
A tear
words
in the
carry the
fabric
same
of
weight.
night. One by
You can
one,
speak
they
all day.
pass through,
But if
returning
there
to
is
the
no
void
authority
beyond the reach
behind
of
it,
stars.
nothing
As the light
changes.
dies, the secrets
when you
of the
speak
crossroad
something that
remain
carries
buried
spiritual
once
authority,
more, until the
everything
next
responds.
convergence. Sleep well, deep beneath the
That's what
quiet
makes the
streets of
Psalms
the
different.
neighborhood, a secret
They are not
passage waits.
human ideas.
Here, the echoes of dripping
They are
water tell
declaration.
stories
They
that the
establish
surface has long
position.
forgotten.
They release authority.
Drip,
They enforce
a rhythmic
boundary.
pulse in the silence.
And when those
Look
boundaries are
closer at the
enforced,
weathered walls.
anything
These aren't just
operating
cracks in the
outside of
concrete.
alignment
Ancient
has to
markers
respond.
etched by hands unknown,
That's why I
beginning
used the
to
word
pulse with
earlier.
a
Or
life of
yeah.
their own. Cold,
Because
the
that's
shadows begin to
exactly what
stretch and
happens.
twist, and there,
It's
at
not
the edge of the
always
light,
loud,
a silent
not always
sentinel,
dramatic,
watching,
but it is
waiting,
effective.
knowing
Operations
things that are
stop.
best left in the
Influence
dark.
weakens.
Before you can even
Access
catch your
gets
breath, it is
restricted.
gone, fading
And in
back
some
into the
cases,
void. The
The
passage
gate
remains,
itself
but its
begins to shut
secrets are
down.
yours to keep
Now let me
or
tell
to
you
run
something
from.
that may
Where the
challenge
safety
you.
of our homes
The power
meets
is
the
not just
ancient
in reading the
unknown.
psalm.
The
And
forest
how you
waits,
engage with it.
watching from the edge of
Because
the
from what I
cul-de-sac.
saw,
Beyond
Two
the
people
garden
can say the
fences,
same
the air
word
grows heavy and cold.
and get completely
Did you
different
see
results.
that? Eyes in the dark,
Why?
blinking out of existence.
Because one is
the
reading.
mist doesn't just hide the trees; it hides a secret, a light that shouldn't be there, beckoning from the shadows. A threshold appears, a gateway to a place forgotten by time. Strange figures move in the twilight, guardians of the path. Will you step through the veil into the heart of the forest? The The edge is just the beginning of the journey.
See,
Deep
the
in the
lions
heart
made it
of
come
the
a magically
wood, the
with
magic
you.
of the earth
And the
comes
other is
alive.
declaring.
Ancient stories are
One
written
is
in the bark
passive,
of the trees
and the
that
other
have stood for
understands
millennia.
authority.
Welcome to the world
And that
beyond
difference
the edge.
changes everything.
The journey has only just begun.
Not because the Psalms don't work, but because they are not being used as they were intended. They are being read like poetry. Me. And that's exactly what the dark system depends on. This understanding, because a believer who doesn't understand authority is not a threat. But a believer who does becomes impossible to ignore. And I've seen it. I've witnessed it firsthand. Environment shifting, atmospheres changing, operations collapsing. Not because of rituals. Not because of rituals, like is insteeppable. Not because of effort, but because of truth spoken with authority.
Peaceful, safe,
and now,
but as the light
that
fades,
same authority is available to you. Not something you have to earn.
Is entering.
Not something you have to chase.
Mist,
but something you already have access to. You just need to understand how to use it. That's you. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you next. Because now that you understand the power behind the Psalms, time to reveal the first one. A psalm that acts like a shield,
waiting for the invitation,
a barrier, a protection that blocks access from spiritual gates. And trust me, this is one of the ones we feared the most.
And what enters?
Now, listen carefully.
The silence has
because what I'm about to share with you,
stay back.
This is not just a psalm.
Risk.
This
the gate is waiting.
Is a shield.
Can you hear it?
When I
It
was
has been
inside that
decades
world,
since a living
there were certain things we
soul
could work
stepped
around.
foot here. The
Certain
markings
prayers
are
we could
waking
ignore.
up. The seal is
certain
breaking.
people we didn't
are
take
not
seriously.
alone. They are watching
but there
from
were
the
moments
seams. The spiritual
when
gate.
we knew immediately
It's right here.
One
this
step
one is protected.
between worlds.
Not because of who
One
they
breath
were,
to cross.
but because of
It is
what was
open.
covering them.
The gateway is complete.
And one of
Welcome
the
home.
strongest forms
You are
of that
exactly
covering
where you belong.
came from a specific psalm, a psalm that, when spoken with understanding, did something very clear in the spiritual realm. It created a boundary, a line that could not be crossed easily. And that psalm is Psalm 91. Now let me tell you how we saw it. Because most people read Psalm 91 as comfort, as reassurance, as something beautiful. But from the side I came from, it was not just beautiful. It was dangerous because Psalm 91 establishes something very powerful. Position, the places you under divine covering. Spiritually.
The road stretches
and when that
into
position is
infinity,
established,
a path of choices yet to be made. At the edge of the world, where paths converge, lies a place forgotten by time. When
the
mist
bullet tapping
rises,
us cross these shows
the
with
boundaries
Virgo.
between
There were
worlds begin to
individuals we
thin.
observed.
Patterns emerge
People
from the
who didn't look
shadows,
special on the
tracing
outside,
lines
but
of a hidden
spiritually,
gate.
they were difficult to
arrive in the
reach.
silence. The watchers of the
Influence
crossroad, flickering
didn't
like
stick.
old film,
Attacks
moving
didn't
between
land the same
echoes
way.
of what was
And every time we
what is
traced
yet
it
to be.
back,
The pattern is
there was a
set.
pattern.
The ancient ritual of the four ways begins under the
They were
dying
speaking
light.
this psalm,
The gateway opens where no door
regularly,
was ever meant to
not
stand,
occasionally,
a tear in the fabric
not
of night.
randomly,
One by
but
one,
consistently.
they pass through,
And what that
returning
did
to
put
the
truly a
void
spiritual
beyond the reach of
environment around them.
stars. As the light dies, the secrets of
A
the
shield.
crossroad remain buried
A restriction
once more,
against access.
until the next convergence.
Let me explain what happened
Sleep well.
when this
Deep beneath
psalm
the
is
quiet
declared
streets of the
with
neighborhood,
authority.
the secret
It's like you are stepping into a protected space.
A space where influence is limited, where operations become harder to execute. What would normally affect you is blocked.
These aren't just
not
cracks in
delayed.
the concrete.
Blocked.
Ancient markers
I remember
etched by
moments
hands
where
unknown,
attempts
beginning
were
to
made
pulse with a life of their
to
own.
bring confusion.
The air grows cold.
To
the shadows
create
begin to
disruption.
stretch and twist,
Zumos
and
right
there,
nigh
at the
out
edge
to
of the
cover.
light,
To introduce fear.
sentinel,
But it didn't
watching,
work.
waiting,
It was
knowing things that are
like
best
hitting
left in the
something
dark.
invisible
Before
and
you
not
can
being
even
able
catch
to
your
get
breath,
through.
it is gone.
That's what
fading
this
back
psalm
into the
does.
void.
It doesn't
The
just
passage
make you feel
remains,
safe.
but its
It
secrets are
enforces
yours to
safety.
keep or to
Where the
run
plant
from.
of the soup
Where
is
the
flowing or
safety of
lagging
our
in is
homes
pursuing
meets
to your
the
beat.
ancient
It's subduing
unknown.
muscle from
The
between
forest
killing more
waits,
of sea.
watching from the edge
It
of
is
the
about this
cul-de-sac.
challenge
Beyond the garden
to give a
fences,
list.
the air grows heavy and cold.
And those
Did
boundaries
you see that?
are recognized
Eyes
in the
dark, blinking
spiritual
out of
realm.
existence.
Now here's
The
something
mist doesn't
very
just hide the
important you
trees,
need to
it hides a
understand.
secret.
This psalm is not a magic formula.
Beckoning from the shadows,
it's not about repeating words without
appears,
understanding.
A gateway to a place
because, like I told you
by
before,
time.
authority is
Strange
not in
figures move
repetition.
the twilight, guardians of the path. Will you step through
when
the
you
veil
speak Psalm
into the
91,
heart of the forest?
you are declaring
the edge is
where
just the
you
beginning
stand.
Of the journey.
You are
Deep
declaring
in the
what
heart
covers
of the wood, the
you.
magic
You are
of the
declaring
earth comes
what has
alive.
authority
Ancient
over your life.
stories are written in the bark
And when
of the
that declaration
trees
is
that have
made
stood for
with
millennia.
understanding,
Welcome to the
something
world
shifts
beyond
immediately.
the edge.
Fear loses
the
its grip.
journey has only
Cooking is
just
happening at
begun.
Red right nerve. We're next.
Access becomes restricted. And influence is weakened. Now, let me share something personal. There was a moment during my time inside that system where I encountered someone who was consistently protected.
On the surface, it looks
no matter
like
what
any
was
other
attempted,
quiet,
nothing seemed to work.
Peaceful, safe,
it didn't make sense at the
but as
time,
light fades,
until I later
the boundaries
discovered
between worlds begin
They
to
had a
blur.
habit.
Something is
a daily
entering,
practice.
an
They spoke
unseen
Psalm
mist,
91,
carrying the weight of ancient hidden shadows.
not as a
They
ritual,
don't follow
but
the
as a
laws of our
declaration.
world.
I'm a set,
They move
a
with
lone
intent,
settler.
seeking a doorway.
Yeah,
Hidden spiritual entry
Built a
points,
covering that was not easy
cracks
to
in the
penetrate.
veil that we walk
That moment
past every
stayed
day
with me
without noticing.
because
They
it
watch from
showed
the
me
edges
something
of our
clearly.
perception,
Protection
waiting for
is
the
not
invitation
random.
We don't even know we've given.
It can be
The neighborhood
established.
is no
Now I
longer
need to
just
say this
ours.
to you.
It has become
If you
a
feel like your
threshold for the
environment has
unknown.
been
The
heavy,
entrance is open.
if you feel like
And
things
what
have been
enters
attacking your peace,
never truly leaves.
Your clarity,
Silence
your
has
stability,
arrived, and it
then
is
this
hungry.
is where
Stay
you
back
start.
or enter at your own risk.
The gate is waiting.
But
Can
with
you hear
authority.
it? It has been decades.
You don't wait for things to
since
get worse.
a living
Right.
soul
You
stepped foot
establish
here.
your position
The markings
now.
are waking up.
You
The
speak
seal
this psalm
is breaking. We are not alone.
like you are
They
hoping
are
something
watching
will
from the
happen,
seams.
but knowing
The spiritual
that
gate.
something is
It's
happening.
right here.
One step
Even if you don't
between
see it
worlds.
immediately,
One breath
the moment you
to
declare it
cross.
with
It
understanding,
is open. The gateway
a
is
boundary
complete.
is being
Welcome
set.
home.
A boundary is
You
being
are
set.
exactly where you
Boundary
belong.
is being
The air
set.
grows cold
A
as the door
covering is
yields
being
to a forgotten
activated.
past.
And
Every step
access
down
is
is a
being
step further from the
challenged.
light you know.
This is your
The flames
shield.
dance to a rhythm no
But
living
remember,
hand has set.
A shield
In this basement,
only
the
works
shadows have
when
a
you
life of
actually
their own.
use it.
Unseen
And what I'm
forces
about
stir
to
the
show you
air,
next
pulling at the threads
goes
of
even
reality.
further.
They are the echoes
Because
of the
protection
ritual,
is
trapped in the
powerful.
silence between
But there are
breaths.
also songs.
The ground
Som
remembers
bem
what was
explosive
summoned
momentos.
here.
Skumale
Gravitation
sama
loses its grip
saposprop.
as the ritual's
For
echo grows
overcrow
louder. The ritual is never
That don't
truly
just protect.
over. It only waits for a witness. And
And
now you are part of the echo.
They shut down
Even the
operations
stones have begun
directly.
to bleed the secrets they have kept for centuries.
And then never pass back
They
to
gather
their
once
door.
more, drawn back to the circle by the scent of a
ones
new
that truly
witness.
paralyze.
Look closely into the
We've
dark.
reached the point
You were never
where
truly
everything
alone
comes
in
together.
this ritual.
You now
The road
understand something
stretches
most
into
people
infinity,
don't.
A path of choices
You
yet to
know
be
that
made.
spiritual
At the edge
gates
of the
exist.
world, where paths converge,
You know how to
lies a
recognize
place
them.
forgotten
You know
by
how they are
time.
used.
When the mist rises,
And most
the boundaries
importantly,
between worlds begin to
No,
thin.
no.
Patterns emerge
that you are
from the
not
shadows,
powerless.
tracing the lines
But I need
of
you
a
to hear
hidden
me
gate.
carefully.
They arrive
Because
in silence.
This
The
is
watchers
where
of the crossroad,
many people make a
flickering like old
mistake.
film,
Knowledge
moving
alone
between the echoes
does
of
not
what
change
was and
anything.
what is yet to be.
Awareness
The pattern
without
is set.
action
The ancient
leaves
ritual of the four
everything
ways begins under the
exactly
dying
the
light.
same.
A gateway
And the
opens
truth
where
is,
no door was ever meant to
darkness
stand.
is not
A tear in
afraid
the
of what
fabric
you
of
know.
night. One by
It
one,
responds
they
to
pass
what
through,
you do.
returning to the void.
I learned that
beyond
from the
reach of
inside.
stars. As
There
the
are many
light
people who
dies,
believed in
the secrets
truths,
of the crossroad
but
remain
didn't
buried
act on
once
it.
more,
Those were the easiest to
until the next
influence.
convergence.
Not because they were
Sleep well,
weak.
deep beneath the
but
quiet
because they
streets
were
of the
passive.
neighborhood,
But the
a
moment
secret
someone became
passage
active,
waits.
the moment they
Here,
started
the
speaking
echoes
with
of dripping
authority,
water tell stories that
everything
the surface has long
changed.
forgotten. Drip,
And that is
drip,
exactly
a
where
rhythmic
you are right
pulse in
now.
the silence.
At
Look
a
closer
decision
at the
point.
weathered walls. These
You
aren't
can
just
hear
cracks
this.
in the concrete.
Go
Ancient
back to
markers
normal life.
etched by hands
Or
unknown, beginning to
you can
pulse
take
with
what
the
you've
life
learned
of
on
their
control
own.
and
The air
shift your
grows
environment
cold, the
completely.
shadows begin to
Because let me
stretch and
tell you
twist.
something real.
And there, at the edge of
Ignoring
the
this does
the
not make it
silent
disappear.
sentinel,
Spiritual gates
watching,
don't close on their
waiting,
own.
knowing things that are
Influence
best left
doesn't
in the
stop
dark.
by accident.
Before you can even catch
Silence
your breath, it is gone,
helps it
fading
continue.
back into the void.
And I say
The
this not to
passage
scare you,
remains, but
but
its
because
secrets are
I've seen
yours
the
to keep or
consequences,
to run from.
I've
Where
seen
the
lives
safety
slowly
of our
break down.
homes meets the ancient
Not in one
unknown.
moment, But over time,
watching from the edge of the cul-de-sac, beyond the garden fences, the air
clarity
grows heavy
fading,
and cold. Did you
joy
see that?
becoming rare,
Eyes in the dark,
all
blinking out of
because something was
existence.
operating.
The mist doesn't
And no
just
one
hide the
confronted
trees, it hides
But
a
that does
secret,
not have
a
to be
light
your
that
story.
shouldn't be
Because
there,
now,
beckoning from the shadows.
you know what to
A
do.
threshold appears,
You don't
a
need to
gateway
run.
to a place forgotten by time.
You don't need to feel
Strange
overwhelmed.
figures move in the twilight,
Just
guardians of the path.
Listen next year.
Will you step through the veil
with
into the heart of
understanding,
the forest?
with
The edge is just the
consistency.
beginning of the journey.
The Psalms
Deep
I've
in the
revealed
heart
to
of
you.
the wood, the magic of
They
the
are not
earth
just
comes
words to remember.
alive. Ancient stories
They are
are
weapons
written
to
in the
use.
bark of the trees that have stood for millennia.
Intentionally,
Welcome
confidently,
to the world beyond
when
the
you
edge.
wake up, this
The
you
journey
declare.
has only just
When you
begun.
feel pressure,
But you declare.
when your environment feels heavy,
You don't accept it.
you confront it. Because every time you speak with authority, something is shifting, even if you don't see it immediately. Someone is found it. Access is being challenged.
Influence is being weakened.
And gate begin to close. Now listen to me very carefully. You are not trying to become powerful. You are already carrying authority. The difference is whether you use it or not. And today,
You have no excuse to remain silent.
On the surface,
because you've
it
heard
looks like any
the
other
truth
neighborhood.
or Killians.
Quiet,
Now,
peaceful,
let me leave you with this.
safe. But as the light fades, the boundaries between worlds begin to blur.
Where
Something
light is
entering.
absent,
An
and
unseen
silence
mist carrying
creates
the
that
weight
absence.
of ancient hidden shadows.
But the moment
They
you
don't
speak
follow the laws of our
around,
world.
the moment
They
you
move with
declare
intent,
truth,
seeking
the
a
moment you
doorway,
take your position,
hidden spiritual entry points.
darkness has
Cracks
to
in the
respond.
veil that we
Not
walk
because of you
past every
alone,
day without
but
noticing.
because of
They
the
watch
authority
from the
behind
edges
what
of
you
our
carry.
perception,
So don't just watch this video.
waiting for the invitation
Don't just feel
we
something
don't
and
even
move
know
on.
We've given. The neighborhood is no longer just ours. It has become
Start
a threshold
today.
for the unknown.
Right where you
The
are.
entrance is
In
open,
your home, in your
and
environment,
what enters
in your life.
never
Take
truly
authority.
leaves. The
Now
silence
before
has
you leave,
arrived, and it
I
is
want you to
hungry.
do something
Stay
simple
back or
but
enter at your own
powerful.
risk.
The gate is waiting. Can you hear
Comment
it?
below.
It has been decades since a living
Not for me.
soul stepped
But
foot
as a
here.
declaration,
the
as a
markings
decision,
are waking up. The seal
as a line
is breaking.
drawn in the
We
spirit
are not
means-
alone.
And if this
They are
message
watching from
opens
the
your eyes,
seams. The spiritual
share it
gate.
with someone.
It's right here.
One
Because
step
there are people
between
around
worlds,
you living
one
in
breath
environments they don't
to
understand.
cross.
It is
Fighting
open.
things they
the
can't
gateway is
explain.
complete. Welcome home.
And this truth
You are
might
exactly
be what
where you
sets them
belong.
free.
The air grows cold as
lived
the
in
door
darkness.
yields to
I've
a
seen how it
forgotten
operates.
past.
Aim.
Every step
Chroma.
down is a step further from the
I've
light you know.
exposed it.
The flames dance to a
The
rhythm
rest.
no living hand
Fresh
has
and
set.
greens.
In
Illinois.
this basement,
Stay aware.
the shadows
Aim.
have a life
Stay
of their
strong.
own. Unseen forces
And
stir
never
the air, pulling at the threads of reality.
Stay silent.